Yo guys, what's up? It's STVW and I just released my new single Knockout together with Justin Prime on his label NEXCHAPTER. Today I want to show you some tips and tricks inside the Knockout project after Justin sent me the stems and what I did there. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so let's start with the first breakdown with the beginning of the song, which sounds like this. So here I want to show you two things. First of all, the interesting cool effect here at the beginning, which is basically like I took the main lead. As you can see here, it's a straight F sharp note, so the root, the key of the song. And then I added an arpeggiator from Ableton with an automation that starts very fast and gets slower and slower. So basically with that automation, you create that cool effect to have the lead start very fast and then it gets slower and slower towards the end. Then the second thing is, which is interesting in that section, I didn't let the main lead play the whole melody first, but I divided it into three different sounds. So the melody is set together of three different sounds. The first one is the main lead. The second one is like an acid distorsaw kind of lead, which also has a cutoff automation to get that vowel effect. And the third sound is a plug with a cutoff automation that opens up toward the end. Then let's move on to the drop. Here I can show you another interesting thing, which is basically the drop lead. Let's listen to the drop lead. So what I did here is, as you can hear, as you can see, I have one layer that is basically the dry layer of the lead. And then I have the reverb on a separate channel, which is 100% wet. And then I mix it in, which sounds like this. And what you can hear here is probably that the reverb is sidechained. Like every time a note is playing, the reverb gets stuck, and when there's an empty space, the reverb comes up again. That I created by sidechaining the reverb through to a reverb trigger signal, which is a silent init preset, which plays the same melody as the drop lead. And every time the note is playing, the reverb gets stuck. That way you have more control. Like if you separate the reverb from your leads, you have more control over the reverb. For example, here in the second half of the drop, I did a reverb automation with the volume to reduce the volume when the response leads are playing. So yeah, that way if you separate them, you have way more control over your leads and also over your reverb separately. Then another thing is, which is really interesting probably, is I also used three different sounds in the drop, which play together really well. They sound like this. So first we have the main drop lead. Then we have a rave lead. And then we have the screechies. So all these three sounds are very different, but they work together really well. And we did that on purpose, so it's a bit more interesting. Like for example, if we would have the main lead play the whole melody throughout the whole drop, it would have been a bit boring. So what we wanted to do is switch it a bit up and also make it not too complicated for a listener. So with those sounds, they were really hard to find, but I think we did a good job here and they work together really well. So all the three different sounds together sound like this. So the tip here is maybe try to find some different sounds that you can play your melody with, your drop melody with, or also your break melody, and try to fit them together as best as you can. So that's a really good tip to make the song a bit more interesting for a listener, and yeah, also to switch it up a bit and not make it too boring by using the same sound throughout the whole drop. And the last thing I want to show is we have, in the second break, we have the guitars playing that I recorded. But I also wanted to layer with some strings and some arps, so to have the organic sounds mixed with electronic sounds, and that way you create more emotion, more harmony, and yeah, just in general it sounds a bit more interesting than just using either the synths or only the guitars. And also here when the break climax melody comes in, we also have some stuff here that you can't really hear right away in the mix. But if you take them out, it sounds a bit empty. For example, the power chord guitars, or the diva here, the diva pad. Together it sounds like this. Take those sounds out, it sounds a bit empty. So the tip here is maybe also, like, if you can't really hear it right away in the mix, add some sounds that add depth to your mix, fill it out a bit more, and yeah, don't only use like the leads and the obvious sounds like the pads and bass, but also add some more interesting sounds that the listener maybe hears after the like 5th or 6th times listening to the song, but not on the first time. So yeah, it's really important to also have those sounds in your mix. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope you could learn something, and I'm looking forward to the next releases on Next Chapter. See you guys soon.